okay?
Yeah.
Your room looks so peaceful.
This is awkwardly enough my in-laws' bedroom.
Nice. I love
I've
it.
done 90% of my work during quarantine in this room. The
Oh,
lighting
it's
is the
a beautiful room.
best. Yeah. So, and
You look
everyone's like,
great.
it's such a great room. I'm like, it's my in-laws' bedroom. But yeah,
Whatever works. Whatever
what?
works.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
decided that they live in Orange County, and it's just been nice to have a yard instead of being cooped up in a, one bedroom apartment.
Yes.
So, yeah,
I totally, totally get that. We just went away this past weekend for a much needed, just something new to look at, which was like
yeah.
life changing.
Oh my gosh, where'd you go?
Just to San Diego, just
Oh,
to
I
like,
love you. Oh,
yeah, yeah. It was really
yeah,
nice. Yeah,
yeah. We did that.
yeah.
I traveled. My parents live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I
Oh,
was
okay.
this, but we traveled. Um,
Yeah.
oh, I saw. Wasn't one of the shows that you did? Did it film there? Was it?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Revolution.
I read. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
so funny. Yeah. As soon as you said Wilmington, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going off on a million topics here, but
That's
my
okay.
dad, I think he did extra work on it. He
No
loves,
way.
yeah, it's adorable. Yeah, yeah. He loves it. He doesn't mind the 14-hour days for $60. He loves it.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
he's
Oh my God,
retired, so he's just living the
so
best
funny. I heard the whole cast ended up loving Wilmington so much that I heard like half the cast bought houses down there because they just wanted to keep going back.
Yeah, it is such a quaint, charming, southern city, and huge for filming. They have
Yeah.
studios, and he's
Yeah.
done every year. He's been working on 2 or 3
I love
projects.
that. That's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's something my dad would like too. He's always like, how do I, And I'm like, well, you got a lot of time to spare.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. It's God bless him for loving it, because I did it like when I was a teenager, because I'm from
Yeah.
New York originally, and
Yeah.
it was just cool to get experience. If anyone
Totally.
watching wants to be an actor and has never been on a set, you should definitely be an extra, because
Yeah. I mean, you get
fun.
paid
Cool.
to watch how it works. You get free food. And
Yes.
if you're wanting to be an actor and you get 3 union vouchers, you're eligible for the union, right?
Yes, exactly. So, anyways, point being about on a vacation. I know we just went
Yeah. Yeah.
direction, but yeah,
Regretting.
weeks, and I really just kind of cleared my schedule and relaxed, and it was so amazing and so needed. And if anyone has the opportunity to do that right now, I actually got more creative work done when I was just relaxing than I would sitting down and planning to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of pressure, and then the time ticks by, and it just feels more stressful,
Yeah.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about before we kind of get into all the cool stuff you're doing right now, your backstory, how you got into casting, all the good stuff.
Cool. Yeah. So I was an actor originally. As a kid, I had an agent and a manager in New York, and I really loved it. And I definitely went through the ups and downs of getting close to a callback or getting pinned for something and then hearing nothing. And so I know the emotions that an actor goes through really well. And when it came time for college, I decided to go the business route, and didn't know what that meant. So I tried out through internships. I worked at the Conan O'Brien show, and I interned for a talent agency, Clear Talent Group in New York, and then I interned for Publicist and Telsey and Company casting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I fell in love with casting. I was working on Broadway shows, and got to work on the movie, funny enough, The Intern, with Robert. And so that was really cool. And I've always loved Los Angeles. I told my parents my first time visiting back when I was a kid, I was like, I'm moving here. This is where I belong. And so 2 weeks after I graduated, I came out here, and I kind of just trusted the universe with getting a job. I'm like, something's going to happen. It'll all And so I got my first casting job as a casting assistant with Bullock and Snow Casting. And
Okay.
yeah, they do a lot of Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah.
So fun to be, you know, jumping into a real world job and working with kids and being on a set and going to Crafty every day. It was so much fun. And that came to an end because, as you know, a lot of casting directors are freelancers and when a show is done. But then I got a job with Greenstein Daniel Casting, and that's who I've been with the last 6.5 years. And they do so many comedies. I mean, there have been times where we're working on 9 or 10 shows at once, and there's only 5 of us in the office. Wow. And kind of my way up being their associate. And it was awesome. We've got to work with some pretty fancy names, and it's been really fun and enjoyable. And I would say within the last year or two, I got married last year. And
congrats.
Thank you. And I just, you know, you start having those conversations in your head, like, okay, is this what you want to do full time? Is this, you know, when you want kids one day, is this something you can see for yourself? And I really started listening to my thoughts, my heart a little bit more, and saying, I don't know if casting is fully for me. I love it, and it's so much, like, would always like to have a hand in it some way, somehow, but I have to give credit to the casting directors who have families, because I'm just like, how do you do that? And
very hard.
It's so hard. I mean, like, you know, like it's very demanding hours, and I've always been someone who absolutely loves to work, but I also value my personal time and my family time.
100%.
Yes. You know, like I said, I was having these thoughts like 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I'm like, what does this look like for me in the future? Like, how can I still somewhat be involved, but do something that is a little bit more my speed? And I'm such a people person. Like, I love connecting with actors and talking to people, and really kind of almost acting like a therapist in a way, just to understand how someone can shift their thoughts and their energy. And I started working with an intuitive healer, and she's also a medium, an energy reader, and, you know, you're into that stuff or you're not. But
it's interesting. It's so interesting to me. I want to hear more about that. Maybe pause for 1 second and tell us exactly what an intuitive reader is.
Cool. Yeah. So basically, we're all made up of energy, and I'm just picking up on other people's energy, like my higher self, kind of tap into other people's higher selves, and basically I'm like a mailman of information, just picking up off of your energy, and I'm able to see this. Because what people might not realize is, their highest desire is career. It's all like, I really want to make it in my career. Why isn't that working for me? Well, you have to backtrack and go, well, do I really feel worthy of my talents and my gifts? Do I feel worthy of abundance and money? And a lot of actors are really hard on themselves and keep thinking it's about that external work of like, I'm taking all these acting classes, nothing happening for me. Telling them, hey, like, let's start working some thoughts that you keep telling yourself internally. And then they realize, oh, wow, I've been speaking to myself in such a negative way. And then once you kind of shift that thinking, start loving yourself, things that you desire just start manifesting.
Wow.
So
need some of that.
It's all do. So that work was kind of brought to my attention 1.5 years ago. And so I started doing it for me because I didn't know what my life looked like. I was still casting. I loved it. And I said, I want to feel more fulfilled in a purpose. Like, I feel like of course, casting is an amazing job and it's definitely purposeful. But for me, I was just kind of craving more of like the one-on-one human interaction. And so through doing that self-love work, like journal exercises, even mirror exercises, just kind of speaking things into existence, I saw it happening for me. And so I was like, whoa, I could be coaching actors and giving them the work that I'm doing. They could be doing they could find this useful. And so I had the idea to start coaching. And so I started coaching some actors on the side, didn't really announce anybody, and started giving them these little confidence boosting exercises, these mindset shifting exercises. Fear-based to love-based. And the response was really great. And so quarantine happened, and I think quarantine for a lot of people is a time to reflect on what they are feeling is serving them in their life, what they feel they need to let go of. And so I finally announced it. I made an Instagram about it, and I'm like, I really want to be that person to bring this self-love work to the industry. When actors are constantly saying no all the time, and agents and managers and casting, we're all just like in a shuffle, and we kind of get lost in who we are. So I'm really big on that, and I really do feel like I have fully stepped into my purpose. And of course I do, as an acting coach, like audition techniques, and we dive into the scene work as well. So of course I bring that to the work, but most importantly, and why I think I'm on this earth, is to bring that self-love awareness to people.
I love that. I mean, I think that is so hugely important in an industry that can feel so daunting, just one thing after the other, from not getting the job to not getting auditions to getting the job, and that one job getting on the cutting room floor. It's like, it's so easy to just be dropped down to a really low level from that.
Yeah. And I think we as humans just crave that validation. Did we do a good job? Did I do it? Did I look good? You don't get any feedback. Very rarely do you get specific feedback from casting. A lot of times it's like, oh, nice job, just wasn't the one. And so you never really can measure
you draw your own
how you're doing. You draw your own conclusions, and a lot of times it's negative, when really it should be, oh wow, I got an audition. And so many people don't even realize how hard it is to get picked to audition, and that should be a win in your head. And if you get a call back, even better. But you don't define happiness by a booking or a callback.
Yes, 100%. So talk class right now. So talk a little bit about that.
So I have been developing different workshops for kids, for teens, for adults, and my adult workshop is called Unlocking Your Authenticity. And I find that a lot of actors, especially in the comedy space, because that's basically my casting background has been all comedies. They tend to bring more to character that is so outside themselves, where it just becomes very shticky. And that's not funny. And there are very small moments where that works, but a lot of times it doesn't. And is where it's a space where I bring that self-love work. So each week I give everybody an exercise, and I called it Finding Yourself First Method, FYF method. And so my first set of exercises that I do is attributes. Like, how do you see yourself? It's not how does casting see me, your friends see me, your it's none of that. It's how do you see yourself? And then I have actors create a list of attributes, ranging from words that you might find negative, like maybe I'm sensitive, or maybe I could be bitchy sometimes. Well, there is probably a little part where in those heightened moments, you are that. And that's not a bad thing. There's so many that make you.
Of course.
And so I take those words and I'm like, that's your bag of tricks, right? And that's what you should be pulling from in the scene, right? That is an authentic word where you sat down and said, hey, this is how I truly see myself, and you're going to use that word and apply it to a scene versus molding a scene. You're really you're just bringing yourself into the character, not the character into yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something that I see a lot is actors doing, and this is just something I've been, for some reason, seeing even more of lately. I don't really know what it is, but actors themselves, which is actually what we want to see, you
Right.
know?
And it really is much more simpler than you think. And you're so right. And I think actors feel going into agent and manager meetings saying, oh, okay, I know Quirky's really
Yes.
now, let me try and be that person.
Right.
When like, if you're
Right.
not that person.
If you're not, right.
Yeah, like
I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is we're professionals at picking up on these things.
yeah.
So you're not going to fool anyone.
Right.
You know, I sometimes use this term of actors who hate act a scene, which drives me insane, which is basically when you're watching a series that you can't stand, but you feel like you need to finish it. So you're hate watching it, and they're hate acting the scene because they have to get through it, but they hate it. And I hate it because they hate it, and everyone hates it, and we're all miserable together.
Oh my God.
You know?
That's hilarious.
Don't hate act a scene, especially when you are in charge of choosing the scene for a class, for a workshop, whatever it is. If you're in charge of that material, choose something that's authentic to yourself, and instead of doing something that you think Shannon wants to see or that I want to see, because you're hate acting it, and I hate watching it.
Yes, it's funny because talk about the intuitive reading energy work I do. I'm like, we all have that, and what you're describing is casting can see when you're not being yourself. That's just picking somebody's energy too. I feel like you know, a lot of actors, from what they tell me their daily struggles are, I'm like, how is this even fun for you? You know what I mean? Like, let's float a little bit. It all be fun. If you are lucky enough to make work your passion, it should never feel like work. And I just see more times than none actors being really hard on themselves and then being really frustrated about a scene or being really frustrated about an audition. And so that's what I feel like I'm here to shift people's mindsets, you know, and make this more enjoyable.
Yeah. So when you work one-on-one with some, because you do one-on-ones too, is that sort of like also like the intuitive, tell me like what an intuitive reading is like. Like, I'm just very curious about the experience is like.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and I know it's not for everybody.
It's totally for me. I'm in it. Like,
So I offer a couple of different one-on-ones. I'll just plug a few of them right now. So I am offering free new client 20-minute one-on-ones. We can use that time however you want. I originally had it as like a quarantine thing, but I think I'm just going to do it forever because I just love getting to meet people, and I understand that money's tight for some. So I have the free one-on-one out. It's booked out like 14 days in advance, and I only release one spot a day. So go ahead on my website, which is just bills.com. You can sign up through there. And then I also do intuitive reading one-on-ones and acting one-on-ones. And in my intuitive reading one-on-ones, it's interesting. So what I do before, because I get very distracted. Like, I'll be talking to somebody, and if something comes in, I will like space out. So I try readings before because I just can lose my thoughts really quickly when I'm in space, because things will just start popping up. So I do a little meditation on myself, get myself grounded. I kind of open up my heart energy, your heart. And I go through different questions I ask myself. So first I kind of talk about, okay, where do they fall on a soul frequency scale? I go through the different areas of their life, like financial, vocational, relationship, on a scale where they're at. And I then see and say to myself, okay, well, these two are the lowest. And then I say, why are these the lowest? Oh, they don't believe they are worthy of getting money. Well, how can I make them feel that they're worthy? What are some exercises I can pull for them? And I'm basically just asking a lot of questions to higher self, universe, God, whatever word resonates. And I just kind of on that energy. And from there, I can get a little bit deeper. But that's the standard intuitive energy reading. Like, first time meeting somebody, I just go through to different questions before I even meet with them. And sometimes, you know, I've had interesting ones where I've picked up like someone getting a divorce, and I'm like, how the heck do I bring that up to somebody? And
Wow.
had started the reach. It's like, yeah, I have 3 kids. I got married years ago, and in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel this divorce happening. How the heck am I going to bring this up? So I also have a little bit of work on my end to make sure it's appropriate.
Yeah.
She ended up bringing it up, and she's like, yeah, I'm actually getting a divorce this week. And I was like, okay, I was feeling that. Had some really interesting things that I can't describe. Like I had a friend's grandpa come through. I've had my friend's 2 grandmas come through. I've had a guy's wife, he's a widower now, come through. So it's just very interesting, and I'm still kind of in on it, but we all have it. We all have the ability to tap into our intuition. We all have it. It's a muscle that we have to train.
Yeah. And especially important for actors. Intuition is everything for acting. I mean, not just your choices, but even with the business, you know, I tell that to actors a lot because they get a lot of conflicting information in this business. And I'm very passionate about my own opinions, and you can be passionate about your own opinions. And at the end of the day, they're faced with 10 different opinions about the same subject. And how do you know which one is the right one? And that's really when you need to tap into that intuition and say, okay, this casting director said I need to do this. This acting coach said I need to do this. My actor friend says, which one resonates with me the most and makes the most sense in my own perspective?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, is realizing how subjective this industry is. It's basically like saying, oh, I like to eat sushi, but my husband doesn't. Or I like this TV show, my friend doesn't. And so if you kind of realize that it's so subjective, and that there's really no right or wrong opinion, it's what feels good to you. Once you realize that, you know your power, you know your worth, you will never feel nervous or that you're not worthy of something, because you know that what feels good to you and what you can bring to a table. If someone says something to make you think otherwise, you're not going to feel triggered by it. And you're so right. I love this scene, and I have so much fun when I'm doing it. And I've done it in a few different workshops. And he said, I brought this scene to a casting director this past week, and he ripped it apart. And he said, and I got off, and I basically cried after. And I was like, if you love the scene, and you're hearing from most people that you're doing a job, and then we did it, and I loved it for him. I'm like, it's obviously easier said than done, but you can't let one person or one bad audition affect your mindset, because that is what's going to crumble you and make you not cut out for this industry. It's all about
100%. I always say, actors, not you have to get used to the idea. Not everyone is going to love you. There's no world in which every single person is going to think you're this amazing actor. You might have a lot of people who champion you and think you're great, but there's always going to be one person, not necessarily that they don't like you as an actor, but who's going to criticize you. That's life. Right?
It's life. You just need to be easier on ourselves, you know? And because it'll never go away. Like, if you want to do acting, there are going to be times where you feel on top of the world, and there are going to be times where you want to hide rock. But if you just keep going and realize your worth and your power, things should trigger you less, right? It'll
that's the key. I think the difference is everyone gets triggered. Everyone has these criticisms that they kind of let affect them. The difference is a lot of those people stop. Someone once said, you know, I once had a moment in my acting career where someone said something to me and it affected me so negatively that it almost turned my light off in that moment. And and that's kind of like a really nice visual of like, I'm done. And that happens to a lot of people. And the difference between everyone else and those people is that you keep going. And that makes you 10 steps ahead of those people whose light just turned off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So I totally agree.
You know, things are not meant to be easy, right? If things were easy, everybody would be doing everything. And and if everybody liked each other, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, if everybody just didn't have an opinion about someone, life would be kind of boring, right?
Yeah.
Like, in a way, I was just something to think about. And
Yeah.
just kind of like, when you realize that and go, we are supposed to be opinionated, and we all have different desires for reasons. We all have different journeys for a reason, and they're not going to be easy. Even, do you think me leaving like a steady job with paychecks coming in left and right to be doing something that I know and feel in my gut is my purpose was easy? No, because I loved it. And this is the ego versus high self. Ego side is telling me, wait, you still like casting. It's a steady paycheck. Right. You've been doing it for 7 years. Everybody knows you in casting. Yeah. And you want to leave? Like, what? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I said, my purpose in life is to be helping actors feel good about themselves. And I still would love to help in casting, in a very small scale.
Yeah.
I went with my gut, and it was not easy. I cried about it. It was like mourning a loss. And, I am hoping eventually, I didn't leave on bad terms with my office. I said, look, if things are busy, I want to help out, but my new baby, and it's definitely challenging to be my own boss and know that there's going to be good weeks and bad weeks, but I keep going and I fight through that fear. And that's the difference. That is, we all have choices to fight through those bad days. And there's going to be people in life who just can't handle it anymore. And then there's going to be people who say, what's more important, going after my passion or just like giving up, Yeah.
I'm really impressed with a lot of the actors throughout quarantine who have just really fought through this time. There's sort of this group of actors who have really just kind of shown up in my own world and who are so eager to just improve and learn and work on their craft despite being shut down for a long time. And these same actors, I'm hearing over and over again, because now that we're opening up a lot more, the opportunities are exploding for them because they fought through it.
Yes.
Which is just, this is such a trying time for all of us. We can all kind of relate to that fighting through that moment and see what happens on the other side, because you didn't give up and you kept fighting and you kept fighting. And now, there is a reward at the end for that. So
it's all about discipline. It really is. I've mentioned this in so many of my Instagram lives, but I've seen this meme going around, this quote going around, that if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new strength, a new passion, just something that you were fighting for, you didn't lack time, you lacked discipline.
Yeah.
And I just love that so much, because I do know people who will,
unless you have kids.
Have kids, completely different story. For us,
I totally agree with the sentiment.
Yeah.
But I'm like thinking about
that saying does not mean you can't have days where you're sitting on the couch and doing nothing.
Right.
In this 5 months now, and to not take any sort of time during those 5 months to sit with yourself and see what feels good, see how you could be doing better in some sort of aspect of your life. That's what I mean by that, is this is the time to do it, because when things are back to normal, we get caught up in the busyness again. So this is time that was kind of a gift for us, and we need to be using it wisely, because the second things are busy again, you're gonna regret not wanting to go after something new or working through something that you've been hurting with. I mean, like, if you can do something small for yourself.
I agree. And I think it is going to come, just from my own perspective, in the last few weeks, I've had more meetings for projects than I had in 2019.
Wow.
And I was like, this is strange, so I think what's happening is a lot of shows are kind of testing the waters, and it's been going really well. And I'm sure you've heard too that all the shows, including my series, is going back in September that was shut down.
Yes.
So they're using that as an even bigger test period. And if that all works out hunky-dory, then they are trying to be back at max capacity. I believe no later than January is they want to be at 100%. So it's going to come flying at you.
Yes.
And now's the time to kind of work on, whether it's sort of that self journey and also like, trivial things like your self-tape setup.
Yeah.
You're going to want to be top notch as we head into this virtual casting world.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be caught all of a sudden off guard. I was talking to a friend who's like, I just got 2 auditions in one day and my self-tape setup still needs work. And I'm like, well, girl, hurry up.
Yeah. It's important to invest in yourself. And sometimes that means spending money that we don't have, but the universe will reward you. You know what I mean? Like when quarantine started, I really wanted to invest in a business coach. And then my intuitive mentor I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it and I'm not going to worry about the finances.
Yeah.
I started getting more clients and started happening. And it's about just don't let the blocks come up, right? It's working through, say, no, this isn't going to happen. And I know physically in my bank account, it's not here yet, but trusting and knowing that the energy is with me and that, it will be coming. That's what you have to work through and trust, realize, you just have to invest in yourself. So invest in some good equipment because you're going to be getting more auditions,
I know. I agree. And I certainly throughout my career have always, obviously advocated for actors, and I know it's an expensive career, and I hate always telling them to go buy this and that. And before COVID, I used to say, don't spend money on your self-tape setup. Like, who cares? Because those instances of self-taping, while still prevalent, were not as big as still being in person. I was like, who cares? Just come in. It's fine. Like, we have the whole setup. Will make you look amazing. But now you are your own producer, you're your own director. If you're self-taping, this is up to you. And you can have 2 great actors, right, with 2 amazing takes. And this literally just happened to me yesterday, where there was 2 actors reading the same role, and they were both fantastic. But one of the actors, her lens was a little blurry. I could tell she was doing something interesting, but I couldn't see it behind the eyes well enough because she wasn't well lit. And her audio was a little off. And so I ended up sending this actor to the producer instead of this actor.
Yes.
And it's so unfortunate because she's amazing. And I just knew that they would respond to this one better because the elements were there. Yeah. So just a little example, again, you don't have to go out and spend a crazy amount of money to have some professional, in studio setup, but lighting does make a difference. And especially audio. I mean, there's a million people watching your tape and they're watching your tape doing God knows what, I mean, the executives could be like at the park throwing a Frisbee to their 4-year-old while watching casting tapes. And if they can't hear you, they're going to lose focus. So anyway, side tangent about.
No, it's so true. And it is funny how, we used to say to actors, oh, hey, just get us a tape. It's okay. Yeah. It could be from anywhere, right from your iPhone. Yeah. But now that this is, and I want to hear from you with your shows coming back. Do you plan on doing in person, or are you going to be doing more of the self-taping?
I haven't really decided yet. I think, I'm definitely not going to do in person. I definitely that's a no-go from me. I mean, if I'm not sending my kids to school, then I'm not, you know what I mean? But I would much rather prefer to give live feedback because I know no matter how much I try to set these actors up for success, there's going to be a lot of people who don't read the specifics and the details of what I'm asking for. And I'm going to still have to give direction. And by the time I need it, by the time they actually get it back to me, it's just going to be this long, frustrating experience. So I'm very much looking forward to learning more about the EcoCast Live.
Yeah.
That they have now. I tried to attend the webinar, but again, #kids. And, but I know that they're doing a lot of trainings on that, which seems really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it connects to breakdown, and then they still get their times, and then I can give live feedback. The only thing though, is I know it's recorded over the screen, And so I don't know if the connection is going to decrease the quality, which it probably will just a little bit. But then again, I'm going to rely so much more on everyone's setups to make sure they're great. And I don't want to have to spend time to say, hey, you know what? You kind of have this weird shadow on this side. And it's just, you know, yeah, I would love to just, you know, bring you in and it's like, perfect, let's get right to it. Because when we're doing that in person, that's what it's like. I perfect my setup in person. It's perfect. Like, I take a lot of pride in that, you know, but unfortunately, I'm now at your own disposal. So to have that kind of set up nicely, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's going to be, because, you know, normally with a Zoom meeting, you can just end it for everyone. And here they're going to have to leave on their own.
Right.
So it's kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
Move
but
on.
I think that actors, casting, creative teams, we're all working on it together, and we all have to be humans about it and know Wi-Fi go out every so often. Meetings are gonna freeze up and not work, and so we're all learning it together. So I think we can take a little bit of pressure off ourselves. Obviously, control what we can, which is the lighting, which is the good quality camera, making sure you're seen clearly and heard clearly. But you know, at least I'm even speaking to you specifically, like I think producers hopefully will be a little bit more lenient, saying, "Oh, okay,
I'm sure. They're usually not so picky. In my experience, it's the producers and TV are like, I don't really care, and it's the director. See it as if they're seeing. It's just like so stressful. But I would still rather focus on the acting, which I think will get a better take if I'm giving them direction versus like setting them up for success and then getting something else back and having them redo it again. And then maybe it's just like, it just drives me insane. But
I feel like
someone quickly said, does We Audition work for casting too? I don't know too much about We Audition. But to my knowledge, the only unfortunate thing with like Zoom or anything other than EcoCast Live is we're going to have to download those tapes and then upload it to EcoCast, which is just extra time. Whereas with EcoCast Live, it's just all one and done. That's my understanding. So I don't know too much, because I know some people are doing Zoom and some people are, I just want to like schedule it through the same site, have it presented to the producers through the same site. Like, please simplify. Yeah,
that's, you know, and I always tell people when they're like, oh, like, what's it like being in casting? And there are some really fun, amazing things. And there are also so many just crazy, insane days where I'm just like, I have to laugh when I get home and I'm like, how the heck did I just do this? Like, I don't know, like, especially with kids, like how it's a lot of time management and prioritizing, and there's just so much on our plates at all times. And so I wasn't liking, and I don't think it was like on a big scale, but on a small scale, how annoyed I would get with an agent or manager calling to pitch an actor and talking really slowly, where I'm like, I gotta go, you know. There were certain parts where I just was not a fan of who I was becoming in those really intense moments. So we're definitely all about efficiency, and if there is a platform that can do it all and we're able to get a link to our producers, we're definitely
it's just such a heavy workload. I think also just kind of like to pepper in my own experience as far as, you know, casting with kids, you kind of just find your own journey. Pretty soon after I had my first, I realized, okay, I have to be really picky, you know? And so I just became very, very, very picky. And the right things, I honestly said yes to ended up being just perfect.
Yes.
You know, and I just waited for the right projects with the right people or whatever it was that aligned with, you know, and for the most part, I've been able to, you know, for the, past year, I almost never go into the office unless I'm taping someone, you know, pre-COVID, of course. And then I just go in and I tape them and I work from home the rest of the time. So, you know, you just kind of you have to, again, kind of with your thing, figure out what's best for you. Say a lot of no's until you're hard about the yes. I had an IG live not too long ago with Marquis Richardson.
Uh-huh.
You know him from Dear White People, and he was saying the same thing about his own acting career. He was saying a lot of yeses, and it wasn't making him happy, and he was worried that he had to continuously say yes to propel his acting career. And once he kind of sat down and had this like profound conversation, you know, with himself and said, this is, you know, I am an actor, but I also have values, and it's very important to me. And I really want to start saying no to certain things to trust that the right yeses will come around. And once he started to do that, his whole world changed. Yeah. Which I just loved, you know, because you don't have to say yes to everything. It's okay.
And I think a really good example, especially for more the developmental actors who just want to rep, who just want to agent, they fall into that yes, where, ooh, and a lot of times they regret it. And then I get the email saying, hey, it's not working out. What do I do? And especially talking about that, you need to realize those are your business partners. And if you're not vibing with somebody, but you haven't heard anything, do not say yes. Something better is going to come along. And you want to hear that, because I'm not kidding. At least once a week, I get an actor being like, what do I do?
I know. Yeah. And I've said this before many times, you know, any agent is not better than no agent.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You just gotta wait for the person, the name of the agent, the name of the agency. It doesn't matter. You need to find your person.
Yes.
Right? The person who is right for you is going to fight for you so much harder than an agent at CAA or WME or Gershon, whoever. Yeah. That person is going to fight for you because they believe in you and they are excited about this relationship. And that is who you want in your corner. That is who you want working for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, even going off of the no's and yeses, I always tell this little story, but I have so many examples in my life. I thought I was going to be an actor my whole life. I was singing, acting, and dancing since I was in elementary school, did every school play, got the agent and manager, even did like those, like, it was called, they have like IMTA or iPop. I don't know if you heard of those, but those big.
So. Are those the mall things where they're like, you can be an actor?
Yep, sure is. And I definitely did all of those. Oh, God. College, I wanted to be a musical theater major. Like, that is still like, oh my God, I just love musical theater so much. Anyways, I found the school that I wanted to go to. I just really vibed with it. I knew it was the school I needed to be at. And I started auditioning at all of these schools. You know, to be a theater major or musical theater major, you have to go and audition. Yeah. And auditioning, and it came time to audition for this school. What I didn't realize at the time was there was only one audition day versus all the other schools had multiple audition days. I had missed the signups. And I got a call from my admissions counselor, and I was training every single week with a voice teacher, a dance teacher, an acting teacher on my monologues, just prepping for this because I knew I had found my dream school. And I got that call, and they were like, hey, it's full. You're gonna have to, if you want to go to this school, you'll have to audition in the spring. Oh. It was at least a really pivotal moment for me, because like everything I've done in my life was leading up to that moment to audition for that school. And I heard no that day. But what I tell people is that no was actually my yes, because the second I got to school, I realized, oh, what is this arts administration major? Oh, I can like learn about the business side of the industry. I never really thought of that or even liked that. And it just changed my direction. And within the first week of being at school, especially being friends with all the musical theater majors, I'm like, wow, I realized on my own, yeah, that's not my path. I think this is my path. And so I always say hearing no that day was actually a yes. And I want actors to realize hearing no is actually a good thing sometimes, you know? And I know you might think you are so right for this role, and that no one, this is your role. No one else can do it but you.
Right.
And you hear no, it's not the end of the world. It just means something better is going to come along eventually. And whether that means a better part, maybe that means going off in a different direction other than acting, whatever it means. So to lighten your nose a little bit more and go, okay, yeah, that's all right. Not for me. Something else is going to come along. Yeah.
No, but.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that.
Huh.
So what is kind of next for you? I mean, I know you're doing a lot of this intuitive reading and authenticity and stuff like that. Are you going to try to just focus a lot more on that, or do you have some other ideas that you want to expand to?
Yeah, so I've been doing a bunch of like meditating and channeling, and I know my next thing that I've been typing away at, and I'm not kidding you, it's straight up channels that I don't even have to think, it's just coming out, is I'm going to do a mindset course on mindset before an audition, mindset during an audition, mindset after an audition. Instead of getting some bad news beforehand, or do you
like never get calls during these, and I just got a call. Sorry, keep going.
Oh no, you're good. So I know that that's what is specifically next for me, but like big scale, I would say, you know, I am still trying to I want to help as many actors as I can to feel good about themselves and the work. And I am going to start coming up with some digital courses. And I really do like blending what I know from being an actor, to just find ways to always blend the two with everything that I do. And I really, someone, when I first started this during quarantine, was like, you're like the holistic acting coach. And
yes, I love that.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm like, I want to be known for that. And
yes.
I would love to, in my free time, still try and help. I just loved working at my office so much. Yeah. My coworkers, they're family to me. So if I, you know, when things do get busy, I would like to still have a hand in casting. And that's why I kind of tell people I haven't fully left casting, because I still love it. And I still, if opportunities come up, would like to be a part of it on a small scale. But really just always staying true to who I am and focusing on what's good in my life, and knowing if my plate's too full, what can I take off? I just want actors to really get into intuitive thinking and intuitive feeling, and I see really big things long term on my morning walks when I'm like either listening to a podcast or a song that makes me feel good. I know how powerful the work is, and it's not that I'm saying anything new, like it's a lot of motivational speaking, and you know, it has made me feel so good about myself even on my bad days. And so my goal and purpose from now until I die is to just get actors, creatives feeling good about the work they're doing, whether it's acting related or not acting related.
Right. I love that. And I totally agree and dub you as the holistic acting coach. I love that. I think it's so necessary and needed, because acting is so internal, you know, and if we're not doing that internal work, that's the foundation.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, if you're not doing that, we're a little wobbly, you know?
Yeah, and even in just not acting related, like when we spread ourselves too thin, I do a monthly meditation called Recharge Your Energy, and I do it because when we're thinking of other people, we're taking on so many things, our energy, our aura is really being spread out, being pulled out, and it's important to bring it back in. And so what I found, you know, when I first started was saying yes to so many things, and I would feel like I had the flu every night. I just felt like achy and tired, and then I realized, oh, I need to be doing some energy clearing on me. I don't remember why I'm talking about this. Whatever you said sparked.
I'm here for it.
It's fine. But basically just learning to actors, learning to hone in on your own energy, because when you walk into that waiting room, you're also probably picking up on all the other actors, and maybe one's nervous, one's over, one's talking, and so, I want to bring those techniques that I've learned for actors as well, because it's powerful to be in your own space and your own power at all times.
Yeah. And they're also picking up on our energy, and sometimes I feel like there's a disconnect between, you know, I have my own energy, but I've also worked with other casting directors who have their own special kind of energy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I know them personally, and I know that it's actually nothing personal, that it's just sort of a personality trait or whatever it is.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that you're boring them or that they hate you or that they are mad at you. It's just sort of, they just got a phone call, you know, from the director or whatever, and it wasn't a happy phone call, and now you walk in, you know, and not everyone is a great actor that can just, no, let's do it, you know, and just kind of throw that energy away. And it, even if it's just the most amazing audition ever, they might not give you what you're looking for. Right. And you gotta be okay with that.
And I was telling people this in my workshop yesterday, that whether you do, this might not be what an actor wants to hear, but I say it for a reason. Whether you do a terrible job or a fantastic job, I basically say the same thing to everyone, which is awesome. Thank you so much. I try not to egg on the people, because actors, I know, because I used to do it when I was a kid actor, where an agent would come up, or a casting director would come up to me and be like, so you're available for the shoot dates? And in my head, I'm like, I booked the job.
Yeah, I got it. It's mine.
I got it. When really I just got asked a question. And so I really try to be mindful, whether I can tell that they feel they didn't do good, I still am going to give them the same feedback I give someone who did a really good job. And actors need to realize that it's, you hold the power and the thoughts to go, I know I did a good job, and I have to leave it at that.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I could talk about that for ages.
Yeah.
You know, especially when an actor knows that they just weren't in it. Their mind was just somewhere else. They didn't know the material. They just kind of, their mind went blank, and it happens to everyone, but then they continue to draw attention to it by saying, I don't know, you know, what happened to me today. I'm so sorry. Or I'll say, you know, great job. And they're like, really?
Yeah.
I'm just like, again, just say, you know, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing me in. Have a great day.
Yeah.
You know, that does a lot less damage. Someone just said, leave it in the room. 100%. Leave that shit in the room. Yeah. 100%.
Exactly.
Yes. I love this. I think that mindset is so important, really, not for any creative, but really for anyone who is trying to get somewhere, you know, trying to do something or achieve something or take some sort of next step somewhere. You need to have the right mindset. You need to kind of have an understanding of your own energy and understanding of other people's energy, and how that, you know, doesn't necessarily need to intertwine. So I love it. I love what you're doing. I think it's totally awesome.
Oh yeah.
Necessary.
I think it's so necessary. I've seen it be so powerful and magical for me. And I'm not even necessarily someone who was ever really like a negative person. It's funny, when I first went to my intuitive coach, I actually was like, what is she going to tell me? I'm so positive. I do my journaling. I have nothing to work on. And then she was like, oh, wait, what about this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what's triggering that. And so everybody has something to work on. Days where I feel great, I still always hold gratitude. And it's because for people who only turn to the universe, God, source, whoever, in the bad times, that's not what it's about. It's being grateful always and staying in that mindset and staying in that energy of abundance. Even when you feel like, and you just are like, oh, I'm like lacking so much, but how am I supposed to shift that mindset? You just have to do it. And there are days where you're not going to believe yourself. And there are days where you are, but to constantly stay in that energy is what is really powerful and going to be so beneficial for you to attract more of what you want.
Can I make a class request? Because you were talking about journaling, and journaling is kind of like the thing these days. And I bought a journal. I got my my journaling space, and I'm like, I'm gonna journal, and I'm like, what do I write about? And like, what do I write about? And also, what am I trying to get? I have no clue. Like, I'm just like, I really need like how do you journal, and what are you supposed to get from it, and what's the goal, and all of this stuff. And I think actors could really benefit from that too.
It's happening. It's gonna happen.
Sign me up.
I'm so excited. Yeah, that's a really good question, because I've always been a journaler too, and even since middle school. But back in middle school, it'd be like,
Dear diary.
and I liked it, and or but yeah, you should be journaling with a purpose. But a purpose can also just mean saying one thing you're grateful for that day, or talking about a future thought, or talking about something that didn't feel so good. There's really no rhyme or reason, but I love that idea. I'm gonna do it.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. I would love to have sort of a one-on-one and get on the journaling.
I love it.
Again. Well, this was so much fun. I'm so glad we got to chat, and I know of you. I've just never really gotten a chance to meet you, so this is really cool. I've gotten to meet so many people during this time that I've heard their names or met in passing or saw at the Artios, and never really got to sit and chat with them. So this is really cool.
I know. Thank you so much for having me on. I love doing these and getting to know people. Again, that's just what I love about life. Everybody just has their own energy and personalities, and it's amazing. And thank you for doing all you do for the actor. And I know it's, especially during times that can feel a little heavier and dark, this is something for actors to look forward to. And I know I'm speaking for probably everybody listening.
I think we all need a little more fun these
Totally.
days. I do, at least. It's fun for me, so
yes.
My selfish reasons. So I take it if people want to, find you, you can, I can't see it on my end, but I believe your name, is here. They can tap in your name.
You could tap my name. My website is just my name, shannonbills.com. And yeah, my Instagram is just Shannon Bills Coaching. So feel free to DM. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'm here for you guys.
Awesome. I got the countdown. So I just want to say thank you again, and thank you for our, we got 2 donations. So thank you for that. Every penny counts, so I appreciate it.
Yes.
During this time, I'm so grateful that Instagram lets us have these fundraisers up on the screen. So we've got $47 for the ACLU. If you want to donate after, you're more than welcome.